thank you all for being here. It's not something I'm really accustomed to doing, but I think it's important, so I'm here to do it. And if you got any questions, or...
Dick, can you talk about how you learned about Andrew Yang, and then what about his message you liked, and why did you decide to get involved with him?
Okay, good question. First time I heard Andrew Yang, a friend of mine, I called a friend of mine after the first debates, one of the early debates. I said, I didn't see the debate. I said, who did you like? He said, I like the Chinese guy. I thought he was joking. And he told me about Andrew Yang. It was the first time I heard of him. Months later, when my special was coming out, Andrew posted something on Twitter saying, oh, I like Dave Chapelle, he's one of my favorite comedians. And a bunch of my friends told me about him. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard of this guy. It just so happened that week, one of my neighbors had given me his book. I was on a flight, I read the book, couldn't believe what I read. So I had my wife reach out to his campaign. They vetted me, they called me back, and we ended up meeting in LA before he went to a debate in Long Beach. We were only supposed to meet for a few minutes, but we ended up connecting. We talked for quite some time, and I found him to be something that's real hard to be as a candidate. He was inspiring. His narrative and the courage it took for him to be like the first Asian American to make a real go of a presidential race, and I believed him. I was like, yo, this could happen, this could work, and I love this platform. What do I like about this platform? Okay, I don't know if you guys seen it. There's a movie called American Factory that my neighbors made. The people who made that film live close to me, and the factory that they speak about in the film is not far from my home. And it tells a real important story of what's happening in Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio has like a third of the people there living below the poverty line. You would take a poll in Dayton and say, what would you rather have, $12,000 a year or health insurance? Everyone's taking the money. Like health insurance is great, but groceries are necessary too. And people in Dayton are having a hard time getting the things they need. I started imagining what a universal basic income would do for my community, and it would save it almost instantly. You know, we recently suffered, mass shootings and all kinds of, everything that happens in the news happens in our backyard in Dayton, the opioid epidemic, all of these things. And I like the idea of giving people choices, putting the money in their hands and giving them the choices. They would consider things that aren't even an option to consider now. And they can do things that aren't an option to do. And that part of his platform I found incredibly exciting. More importantly, you'll hear people say stuff like, make America great again. Well, how about make America feel better again? And I think his platform handles a lot of the emotional content of what being an American is like. Being a homemaker, not being under-recognized, or a worker and being under-recognized. The fear of not being able to pay your bills. This would alleviate a lot of the bad feelings in the country almost immediately. And it's something that I think anyone can get behind. It's an important idea, and for some reason I feel like it didn't get the appropriate media coverage. There's a lot of controversies going around this particular election cycle, and I also like Andrew's pragmatism. I don't look at Trump supporters as my enemy at all. I understand why people vote for Trump. I understand people are desperate, and I think that Andrew's right. You run against the reasons that Trump got elected. I got friends on both sides of the political aisle. I got fans on both sides of the political aisle. A lot of people say professionally it's not wise to support any candidate, but this idea is so good that I think it should exist. And I think the fountainhead of many of the good ideas on the table this year are coming from a single source, Andrew Yang. And for some reason, no one's paying attention to this guy's the origin of a platform that really does address where I think the country needs to go. It's a good plan. Well, I think that I don't know anything about your caucus process. Like I've asked locals about it. They say it's like playing musical chairs. But I know it does set the tone for the rest of the election. What I'm trying to do is make people aware of an option that I think is fantastic. People are always going to do what they want to do. I don't want to be insulting to people and say, oh, I'm a nightclub comedian. That's what I do. I'm not an expert on anything, but I live in Dayton. I understand why this platform is formidable, and I'm supporting it. I really do think it's an important, Martin Luther King came up with a universal basic income. No one's ever run on this before. It's very exciting. I'm very inspired.
Mr. Yang, can you talk about your first meeting with Mr. Chapelle? He was just talking about how, You guys spent a long time discussing all of your ideas and how you guys.
It was a thrill to sit down with Dave. I've been a fan for years. And we bonded over the fact that we're both dads. We both have the same hopes and dreams for the future of this country, that we can improve our own way of life. And Dave's such a profound thinker in so many ways. I mean, I think you're more than a nightclub comedian, just laying it out there, Dave. That it felt like something had brought us together, mainly his wife, actually. Something had brought us together to take this message to the country. And I'm thrilled to have Dave here talking about the ideas of this campaign. I'm thrilled to have Dave associated with the Yang Gang in any form. And sitting down with him was a thrill. Being here today with him is a thrill. Having him come to Iowa to help spread the word is awesome. And it just goes to show what a class act Dave is, what a patriot. He wants what's best for the country. And it's not necessarily the norm for someone of Dave's stature as a celebrity to come and throw down with a political candidate or campaign. And that just speaks to the kind of man Dave is, and I appreciate the hell out of him.
Thank you, man.
I need to get out there and get on this.
I mean, it's pivotal, but like Andrew Yang projected, like so many experts project, the job market will change so much in the next decade. You know, that it's horrifying. Because in the community I live in, it changed so much in the last decade.